Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time.
Now, if I came to the world again, I would definitely come as a woman, absolutely beautiful, which leads us to a segment that I'm most passionate about, femininity. Women are constantly told how to speak, what to wear. We're judged by this societal expectation that I just don't know where it comes from and why it even exists. Now, joining me to delve into all of that and explore misconceptions and the path towards a future where every woman can finally breathe and be allowed to be who she wants to be, how she wants to be, and when she wants to arrive, is Beauty Takura. Hi, Beauty. How are you?
Okay.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Happy International Women's Day
to you too. You look absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. You look stunning.
Thank you. Ebuka, do you want to say hello? It's almost like he's not here.
I'm just a visitor today.
He's not here.
Happy International Women's Day and month.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here today.
So let's delve into the conversation. In your own words, what does owning your femininity mean to you?
For me, I'd say owning your femininity, to me, it means embracing who you are as a woman, letting go of societal expectations or even opinions, really. Embracing yourself as you are. You can be delicate, you can be soft, you can be strong. It could be a mix of the two. It's just accepting that this is who I am and this is how I want to portray my individuality to the world, and I want people to see me. So basically, that's what it means to me.
So, why do you think people, especially men, enjoy... Feel free to button.
You are going to be on the hot seat.
Yes, feel free to button.
I'm not saying anything.
Why do you think... And I would also want you to also shed some light into this. You know, because at the beginning of the show, you talked about cultural practices as well and religion, which could also be at the bedrock of certain things. Yes. But why do you think, most especially men, is what I want to focus on, you hear things like, my wife would never... As a married woman, you are not allowed.
You are not allowed.
You cannot dress. Like, why do you think they like to tell us what to do?
I think the whole men wanting to dictate to a woman how to dress, how to behave, how to live, it comes from a deeply, you know, ingrained system of patriarchy. It's all in a bid to control. That's the word that comes to mind. Before now, you know, we had gender roles. I mean, before now, women were only expected to do the domestic, passive, you know, things. But now women are stepping up, they're taking up space. And men see women that have their own voice and are confident as disruptive, sort of, to a status quo that already exists. It's like a system that's already in place, and once you begin to speak up, once a woman knows her power, knows her voice, it's already like a red flag. They see you as a red flag. Even as small as I am, I've had people tell me, you're always too busy. You're always too busy. Someone that liked me once was telling me, you're too busy. And I'm like,
let me just correct you, baby. There's nothing small about you. That's where it begins. There's absolutely nothing small about you.
But you see, when you continue to say that to a woman, you're making me doubt myself. You know, it's almost like you're trying to squeeze me into a box. Instead of allowing me reach my full potential. So it's all in a bid to control at the end of the day.
I actually want to do a follow-up question, sorry, because, you know, talking about the culture and the religion thing we're talking about, you're from the north, you're from Taraba State, and there's a perception of northern culture and what it's supposed to be. You went from that to be Miss Nigeria. And pageantry is seen a certain way as well, you know. What did it take you to do something like that? Because I wanted you to answer that because of other people, not necessarily wanting to go into pageantry, but who want to break cycles, because you did that by breaking a cycle.
Yeah, of course. So I'll tell my personal story. I enjoy telling my stories, by the way. You know, before Miss Nigeria, I was most beautiful girl Taraba for 2 years. But before that, you know, I went to my parents the first time, and obviously, you know the answer, it was a no. It was non-negotiable, like just no, right? You know what I did? I had to go to my pastor. I'm not joking. And I spoke to him, and I said, see what I want to do. So he went to my parents and said, look at her like a Queen Esther. So that was the angle that we came in through.
Well, religion.
That was it, exactly. Thank you. That was just me being a bit smart and me understanding my parents and the society that, you know, I function in. And one thing I would say I did at that level, I had my parents fully involved in what I was doing. So that gave them a bit of comfort, right? Because at the end of the day, I grew up in a northern home where it's a very strict setting. Like everything is dictated, how you look, how you... In fact, you're not allowed to speak too much. They think you're you feel bigger than that, you're aggressive. You know, it's a lot. And then being Miss Nigeria, there was no support. Now, for the Miss Nigeria, it didn't make sense to my dad. To him, it was stay in school, stay in school, stay in school, right? But I still went on to do it. Now, I was called stubborn. That's the first word that comes to mind. They'll call you a stubborn girl. You're not listening to parents. But I knew that what I wanted to do was bigger than me at the time. I had to take that step so that all the other girls who are waiting in line looking can see that there's nothing like you dreaming too much.
So let me ask you this, because you touched on the stubborn. How do you think name calling and shaming women affects the confidence that, you know, a girl child will have?
I think name calling and shaming is all in a bid to put you in a box, to be honest. These are labels, right?
But how do you rise above that? Because everyone on this chair, I mean, he's a man, he probably wouldn't be able to relate, but I like to say this.
Yeah.
We never, you know, I don't know Margaret Thatcher personally,
True.
but she might have been the nicest person that ever existed. But because of the environment she had to work in, she became stern.
Yeah.
And now when you think about Margaret Thatcher, what comes to your mind is
Iron Lady.
Right? Those are the sort of like name calling and slut shaming sometimes, you know, that people would get to just to try and, as you said, break down. But how do you think it affects? Because I'm sure at some point in her later life, she embraced the Iron Lady and, you know, almost became that.
I mean, the whole idea of putting labels on you, that's what I call, you know, shaming and name callings, right? The whole idea of putting those labels on you is to limit you. It's to make you feel guilty for something that there's nothing to be guilty about. It's to put you in a box. It's to make you feel less of yourself so that you can shrink yourself, you can step down instead of owning your full potential. And for me, the message is I need women to know that these labels are not going to empower you. They're only to bring you down. So the more you begin to see it that way, it's easier to break through and step above those labels.
So follow-up question, how do you, when you hear femininity and feminism, do you think the two can peacefully coexist?
Yes, of course, 100%.
Do you think it can?
I think it can,
but feminism has just been bastardized by people who want to interpret it a certain way.
We have people who want to understand those interpretations a certain way.
I think the real problem comes from people not really understanding the two.
Yes.
Right?
So can you shed some light on that?
For me, I see femininity as more of like the nature of who you are as a woman, right? Like who you are as a human being, the traits, the behaviors. And feminism, for me, the first thing that comes to mind is more of a battle for equality. For women to be able to pursue their, you know, ambitions, free from discrimination. You know, I studied law. So I'm thinking of it more like a movement that is bigger than who you are as a person. And
do you think that when you call it things like battle is where it's a problem? A movement?
Well, it's a...
maybe, because when we say battle, we're already like, okay.
It's probably a battle.
it probably is, yeah.
No, but because at the end of the day, you can be a feminist. You can... Feminism is all about advocacy. I wish a lot of feminists actually knew that. You can be a feminist and still be full of feminine energy. And feminine energy can still be soft and still strong at the same time.
That's what I like.
There can be a beautiful balance of the both. It's knowing who you are, being who you are, and just sticking to that person.
I actually want to end this show with a question to you.
Feminists don't hate men, please.
Okay.
Thank
I want to end with a question to you because you are sort of the poster child of rising above name calling.
Yes.
You've done it, and it has even become sort of the norm for other people to know, oh, this is how Toke did it, so let's do it. You know, so how have you been able to do it? Because we've seen you go through what you've gone through.
Yes.
People said what they wanted to say, but you've continued to shine regardless. You know, how do you do it?
I think for me, personally, I think my resistance came from a place of pain. At a very young age in life, I witnessed a systemic change that happened in my family. You know, and that shook my world to the point where I thought nothing else mattered. Having to bury both parents on the same day is pretty steep. You know what I mean? So when I went through that, I'm yet to see what will happen.
What can be worse?
What can be worse?
What can be worse than literally saying goodbye to the two people who without even knowing that that was literally going to be the change that your life would take.
Yeah.
So I feel like from a place of pain rose power, and you know, just turning my pain into purpose sort of helped me, because not everyone's gonna like you, and that's great.
Yeah.
But you don't know
Honestly,
me.
you're inspiring like the next generation of girls.
She has.
To be honest, to know that
so much.
you can
Thank you.
have your voice, be your person, and those things do not
Thank
matter.
you.
The
Thank you
grand
so
scheme of
much.
things.
Don't just stand and